Power Ranking Tuesday. Let's go ahead and react to Colin Cowherd's herd hierarchy. Now, before we watch the video every week, we show my power rankings, which I consider the best in the industry. Here they are. Kansas City stays on top. Philly is second. Whoo, did they get lucky? The Dolphins have moved to 3. San Fran has climbed. I told you last week if they keep winning, they will keep climbing. They are 4. Baltimore at 5. Dallas at 6. Buffalo drops again to 7. Minnesota drop, huge drop here. Minnesota goes from 3 to 8. Tennessee maintains in the top 10. Another strong performance from Tennessee. And Cincinnati slips that ass back in at number 10.
Number 10.
Tampa Bay makes the list because I think.
Okay, I have them in honorable mention. I have them my first honorable mention here, so I don't hate this. Okay, I think Tampa's a week away. I think Tampa, I think they're going to win this week. I actually took them -3 against the Browns. I think Tampa wins this week. I think Tampa is a sleeping giant. I think they are set. I think they're healthy. I think Brady won the locker room back when the last drive against the Rams. I think the Buccaneers now are one of those teams that see themselves as they have it all figured out, where it's like, okay, we stumbled early, Brady got his mojo back, Giselle's out of town, it's time to win. So I think this is a team, again, if you're buying stock, I would certainly buy stock in the Bucs. This is probably the lowest you'll be able to buy their stock this week, because if they keep winning and if they're in the playoffs, they're not a team you want to play. So I thought about putting them in, but they're right there.
I think they found a run game, 161 yards rushing against the Seahawks. Now, they don't get big plays. 48 big plays all year, second worst in the league. So you're not looking at the Chiefs or the Bills here.
That's Todd Bowles' problem right there. I think if they had a coach that was a little bit more Bruce Arians, I think that big play stuff would go up. They have big play capabilities. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin when he gets healthier. Tom Brady's not afraid to push the ball downfield. But I don't know if Bowles is that kind of guy.
But there is a way to play in the NFC and win games. Aaron Rodgers not going to make the playoffs. It's going to be Brady. They've got back-to-back wins. They found a run game. They're getting a little healthier. They're 11-2 after their bye week since Brady joined the team. So I think they're getting better, and they found themselves Bucs at number 10.
Number 9.
Listen, I've been high on the Vikings, but I've
Okay, so he dropped him almost the same as me. I went 3 to 8, and he went 4 to 9. So, man, it's amazing how good I am at this. Here's the thing with the Vikings. Here's something that stood out last week. So, last week I had read that if you take their fourth quarter win probability percentages and you, do that math out to where that's how the season would be, they're like a 4-win team. The Vikings have got very fortunate this year. Very inflated record. I'm not ready to say, hey, they're not a top 10 team. Hey, they're not that good. But they have to right the ship. And now I know it's hard to be like, well, James, they right the ship. They've lost 2 games. Understandable. But, Thanksgiving is going to be a big deal. If they drop, and this is also kind of precautionary. I think they may have trouble with New England on Thanksgiving. If they drop a game to New England on Thanksgiving night, and Kirk Cousins looks like shit because Kirk Cousins always looks bad on prime time. And what's more prime time than Thanksgiving? If Kirk Cousins looks bad in prime time, Minnesota may be the most found out 8-3 team of all time.
Also bet against them for 3 straight weeks. 29th ranked total defense. Only losses have been against Dallas and Philadelphia, and those teams are a combined 16-4, so they're losing to the right teams. But I think everybody saw this coming. They were winning a lot of close games. There are limitations at quarterback. Their defense has a better pass rush than previous years, but number 9 is where the Vikings sit this morning.
Number 8.
The Cowboys.
Okay, I had them a lot higher, but not that much higher, right? I think, what would I have Dallas at? I had Dallas at 6. Okay. I feel like Dallas is one of those teams I'm going to be saying the same thing every week. I'm going to say the exact same thing, which is elite defense. Absolutely top 3 defense in the NFL, probably top 2 defense in the NFL. They are average on offense, and that's all they need to be, right? They need to be average to above average, because if Dak Prescott can just be good to great, or maybe not even great, just good to a little bit more than good, but not great. I mean, like, he doesn't need to be Superman, which he's been the last couple of years. He doesn't have the offensive weapons to really be Superman. I don't think he's got that right now. But whenever you have that defense, you don't need it. Now, if the defense falters, like in Green Bay, what is Dallas, right? If the defense takes a step back and they're not holding teams to 3 points, then what exactly are they? I'm not putting a tremendous amount of stock in this Minnesota win. I mean, it's 40-3 against 8-1 Minnesota, and we moved them up one ranking or something like that. So I'm not putting a ton of stock into it. I'm tentatively happy for Dallas to win a game like that. That's a game they have to win. They're 7-3. Thanksgiving will be interesting. Thanksgiving will be a good sign of what Dallas can do. Divisional opponent, the Giants, those are games. Dallas has been bad against the spread on Thanksgiving. So if they can put on a really good performance, 2 really good performances back to back like that, I think that'll be good for Dallas. I mean, y'all know what's the problem with Dallas? Mike McCarthy. What's the other problem? Kellen Moore. Can they get over that? Can they get through that to compete with the true teams in the NFC East, the Philadelphia, or in the NFC, the Philadelphias, the San Franciscos, stuff like that? Time will tell.
It's a nice win. It was predictable. Their offense since Dak returned, he's been giving you 100-plus passer ratings. There's a lot to like. They have now a two-headed monster at running back. Very productive, and their tight end is healthy. They have
And that's something else that I should have mentioned. Tony Pollard is incredible. Tony Pollard is really good. They're better with Tony Pollard. Will Jerry Jones allow Tony Pollard to get the lion's share of the carries for the rest of the season? We'll see. But Tony Pollard is so dynamic.
a legit number 1 in CeeDee Lamb and a great pass rusher in Micah Parsons. I still believe, I think that Dak and the head coach in big spots can be liabilities, and that's
true. But so can the Jimmy Garoppolos and people like that. I think Dak is closer to Jimmy Garoppolo than he is to a Jalen Hurts, right? Like he's not going to go win you the game. You're just crossing your fingers. He's not going to lose you the game. With that being said, Dak's prior ceilings are higher than Jimmy Garoppolo's prior ceilings. So if Dak has to give you a 2-minute drive and he can recall a little bit of that 2011 or whatever year it was, that magic, maybe he still has that. Maybe if you need just one short burst from Dak, that's fine. I also think it's weird to call CeeDee Lamb a number 1. I know he's a number 1 for Dallas, but compare him with the true number 1s in the NFL. Like if you compare him to DeAndre Hopkins or Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill or anybody like that, does anyone think CeeDee Lamb is even close to that level? I don't. I would say CeeDee Lamb is closer to like a Chris Olave than a Devontae Adams. So I think they're lacking offensively. Dallas, they have big names, I suppose, but they're not an offensive juggernaut that we have believed Dallas is previously.
That's why I have the Cowboys at 8.
Number 7.
Meanwhile, I think the Titans could be the best coach team in the league.
Look, we said this last week. Their coaching is just insane. I mean, their coaching is crazy. They should have dropped these games. I keep betting on them. Are betting against them and losing. The underlying metrics are terrible. I mean, they shouldn't be winning. They're winning because Mike Vrabel is that good of a coach. How far that can take you, I don't know. They're a worse version of Dallas. They're a worse version of San Francisco, which is a great roster, a team that knows who they are, but Tennessee's problem is they don't have that elite level defense. They don't have that elite anything except a coach. And I guess a running back too. But I mean, you know how it is in the NFL. How far can a running back drag your team? Derrick Henry will try. I'll give him that. But the thing with Green Bay, the Green Bay game, was Ryan Tannehill was the best player on the field. Derrick Henry did virtually nothing. I think he had 85 yards. Ryan Tannehill had the best game maybe of his career. If Ryan Tannehill is playing at that level, Tennessee's going to be hard to beat because they don't make mistakes. Tennessee is a team that won't beat themselves. Vrabel is a guy who won't let you outcoach him. I mean, Vrabel, the fact that he's got Tennessee at 7-3, and again, guys, this was the 1 seed last year. This was your 1 seed. So you have a 1 seed last year who are 7-3 this year. Something's working in Tennessee. I mean, they're hard to quantify. They're really hard to quantify. I have them at 9. 7's a little high for me, but I mean, They're just a really good, solid team. Low ceiling, but good, solid team.
Not called the Chiefs. 7th win in their last 8 games. The fact they took the Chiefs to overtime without a second-half first down is just remarkable. They've missed 160 games. Player games have been missed due to injuries. Second most in the league, so they're not even healthy. They're 8-2 against the spread. What does that tell you? Is that they're totally undervalued as a team. They are tough.
Okay, 2 things. It can mean that they're undervalued. True. But it can also mean that they're over exceeding expectations, which is probably what I would say they're doing. Everyone knows Tennessee's shortcomings. Everyone knows the metrics. Everyone knows the problem, right? Everyone knows those issues. Everyone knows their expected points per game. Everyone knows their yards per play and all that stuff. But they just find a way to win. That's Tennessee in a nutshell. We know they're not that good. Everyone knows they're not that good. Yet they exceed expectations.
They're physical. They're the kind of team that could go to Arrowhead and you look up and go, wait a minute, why is Mahomes watching the second half? I wouldn't want to play them. They're always playing with house money. They never get respect. They're 7-3. Titans at number 7.
Number 6.
Philadelphia. Listen.
This is crazy. I mean, this one, they're 9-1. They're 9-1. I mean, this is crazy town. I don't know what the hell he's about to say. The problem with Philly right now, is that everyone figured out how to beat them. You run the ball on them, you keep the game away from them, and that's it. That's the whole thing. Now, there is something to the whole thing of, look, this was an undefeated team who lost their first game, and now they're kind of coasting, right? I mean, that's normal, and that's going to happen. The bottom line is they won, right? The bottom line is they won 17-16 to the Colts. I don't know how you can put a 9-1 team at number 6. I had them at 2. I mean, this is a bananas drop. So we'll see what Colin says. But this is outrageous.
They've held opponents under 20 points in 5 of their last 6 games. They've got a little bit of an interior D-line issue. And I do think...
Yeah, they have an injury. They have an injury. Jordan Davis was injured. Okay, they got Ndamukong Suh and someone else. I can't think on the top of my head. But I know that when Sue and whoever it was were in the game, I believe the yards per rush dropped down to like 2.8 or something like that. It was super low. Like, so they obviously filled a problem. Like, that's something Philly has done. You gotta give them credit. Howie Roseman, he's jumped in and made moves. They want to win a Super Bowl. They want to win. They had a problem. Boom. Jordan Davis is out for a couple weeks. High ankle sprain, I think it is. Bam. Let's sign 2 guys. And Ndamukong Suh, get in here. Play immediately. Impact immediately. I mean, they had a problem for a game. I don't think that's a reason to drop them to 6.
When you face them the second time, you see them as the season progresses. There are some solutions to this offense. And the real issue is they're not talented enough to give the ball away and win. The Chiefs are. Philadelphia is not. They've had 6.
Very few teams are going to win when they give the ball away. The Chiefs are, if a team loses 70% of the time when they lose a turnover battle, the Chiefs may be like 63%. Like, it might be, but no team is like, yeah, we're good enough to just give the ball away. And I'm not even sure what that see someone 2 times thing means. I mean, let's look at Philly's schedule. So, I mean, if you look at Philly's schedule, like, Washington is the only team they've played twice, and obviously Washington won. Very weird game. Like, you know, so is Colin expecting New York and Dallas here to just all of a sudden, like, what happens if they blow out New York and blow out Dallas? Is he just going to be like, never mind? You know what I mean? That's just such a weird thing to say with such a small sample size.
Giveaways over the last 2 games. They had only 3 in their first 8 games, so they were playing incredibly clean football. And now, as we've talked about, fumbles are kind of random. Now they're losing them. They're on the ground. They're not getting them. In Philadelphia, I have it 6.
Number 5.
Miami surprises me.
Okay, Miami, I love Miami. Miami's super good. And it's something I think people need to, I'll talk about this with the Bills. Miami played Cleveland. Miami beat the shit out of Cleveland. Miami scored 40 points against them. Buffalo plays Cleveland. Josh Allen throws for 190 yards. Like, this Miami offense, I'm here to tell you right now, this Miami offense is the real. They are real. Let me say something controversial. However good you thought Cincinnati's offense was last year, Miami's offense is probably better. I'll say they are better. I'll say Miami's offense this year is better than Cincinnati's offense last year. So somehow, I think Miami is actually undervalued, their offense-wise. We should be talking about Miami the same way we talk about Kansas City and Buffalo, Cincinnati, teams like that offensively. They're that good. They're better. They are far and away, in my opinion, the best offense in the NFL. They're not the most well-rounded team. They're not Philadelphia as far as dominating in different phases of the game, all that stuff. They're not Kansas City where they have this winning pedigree and whatever. But they are top of the line, A++, number one, best offense in the NFL. If that is true, and we're in an offensive-driven league, of course, it's hard for me to believe they're the fifth best team if they had the best offense. And they probably have the MVP, or who I think should be the MVP, and Tyreek Hill.
But I had them as a playoff team. They're 14-1 in the last 15 games Tua has finished. So they're productive. They've got a smart coach. They don't make mistakes. 18 touchdowns, 3 picks. They don't make mistakes. Now, their defense, it's pretty average. And that, in the end, is, I think, this is a flashy, fun, explosive team. But I trust the Bills' defense to make big plays. I trust Cincinnati's wildly underrated defense in the AFC playoff to make plays, or Baltimore's or Kansas City's front seven. I don't trust this defense. Dolphins at 5.
Another thing, I mentioned this last week, and I'll mention it again. Miami's in the driver's seat to win the division. Miami's in the driver's seat to get some playoff games at home, right? That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. If Miami can coast on in, win the division, all of a sudden that puts them in a great spot.
Number 4.
The Bills. Here's the good news.
This is way higher than I had them, obviously. He had them at 7 last week. I think I had them at 5. I dropped them a couple because of Josh Allen's performance. This is a team. If Josh Allen last week against the Browns, the same Browns team that got sliced by the Dolphins, indoors on a track, Josh Allen in Detroit, because the game got moved, Josh Allen goes for like 195 yards. I think he carried it 3 times, and they win. And they won because they ran the ball really well. Not Josh Allen, but everyone else. They had 2 80-yard rushers that game. The Bills don't do that. And if you told me, well, the Bills are going to try and run the football, the Bills are going to try and win games by running the football and establishing the run, I would say that ain't going to work on a team that's not the Cleveland Browns. That ain't going to work against the Buccaneers. That ain't going to work against Dallas. That ain't going to work against Philly. That ain't going to work against Cincinnati, right? That ain't going to work against San Francisco. If Buffalo says this is the move now, we're just going to run the football, not going to happen. Josh Allen has not been good in weeks. The whole team has not been good since Miami. They've scored, besides last game, they scored, 1 second-half touchdown since Miami? They just do not look good right now. They are in a funk, and Josh Allen is playing bad. You got the MVP, the supposed front-runner of the MVP going into last week, playing real bad. He's going to have to get a whole lot better if Buffalo thinks that they can come in and compete, because without him, and I have them as a tentative 7. I have them tentatively at 7 because I'm expecting them to kind of get back in and Josh Allen to be good again, and then they'll slide back up to that 4 area. But if they don't, if Josh Allen just kind of has a down rest of the season, this team is nothing without Josh Allen. They might be a worse Baltimore if Josh Allen does not play at an MVP level.
Last couple of weeks, they found a run game. Here's the bad news. Now their defense has leaks. They're a team that doesn't have a ton of nuance. They have to win by knockout. They don't jab or move well. But I think they recognize their issues, and they have found a running game in the last couple of weeks. But now you're seeing some leaks on that defense. Listen, they're dangerous. They're explosive. They look like Super Bowl participants look like. They just got to clean up some stuff.
Number 3.
I think the most underrated team in the league is Cincinnati.
All right, since he's good, right? Like, since he's good, I have Cincy back in the top 10. But this is an insane amount of love for Cincy. I mean, they're 6-4. Okay, they go from 5th to 3rd. Good win last week, divisional win. Good week, good win. You're supposed to beat the Steelers. That super underrated best defense in the NFL, according to Colin, giving up 30 points to the Steelers. Questionable.
Lose their star receiver, top 5 receiver in the league. They lose their star running back, top 5, 6 running back in the league. And they've had 400-plus total yards in 3 of their last 4 games. This team is deep, a reservoir of talent. Burrow is unbelievable. And their defense, you just can't name any of their starters. I don't love their corners, but it's a real defense that shut Pittsburgh down and has shut multiple teams down in the second half.
37-30. Shut Pittsburgh down. Scored 30 points. The thing with Cincinnati is it is real simple. Can they protect Joe Burrow? If they can protect Joe Burrow, then yeah, they can go back to the Super Bowl. But if they cannot protect him, which they've proven that at times they cannot, if they cannot protect Joe Burrow, then they will not win. It is that simple. They have some serious issues with him getting hit. That is Philadelphia in a nutshell. Or Cincinnati in a nutshell. Oops.
Joe Mixon will come back. He's battling a concussion. Jamar Chase coming back. But listen, when you can lose your top 2 stars and put up almost 40 points, that's something. And Burrow remains, like Mahomes, a great quarterback trailing on the road, second halves in big spots. I wouldn't want to play him. I wouldn't want to play this team in the playoffs. They're never out of a game.
Number 2.
I love my 49ers. Now they're getting...
Here we are, right? Like, here we are. So last week I said, San Francisco needs to keep winning. If they can keep winning, I will keep raising them up. Here we are. They smoked Arizona. Now, that's not saying much. It was Colt McCoy. It was, in Mexico. Cliff Kingsbury. This might be his last year. Whatever. Frisco is nasty. They are nasty. And they're getting there. We've said it before. They got to figure out how to get Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey. They have to figure out how to get George Kittle. They have to figure out how to get them all involved. Once they figure out how to do this, I think right now you got to think they're either the team to beat in the NFC, or they are right there tied with Philadelphia. This team is disgusting. And the crazy thing is they're just going to get better. The crazy thing is they just are going to get healthier. They're going to gel more. They're going to get more dangerous. Shanahan's going to get more time to create wrinkles and be creative with his offense. Jimmy G, you got to remember, this guy didn't have a training camp. He didn't have any of those practices. You would assume he's going to get better. The fact that this team is going to get better is scary. And the NFC, I just think it's kind of weak. I mean, it's got a lot of depth, I guess. But if you told me they had to go like Minnesota, then they would have to play Dallas, like those teams, I think San Fran just destroys. I think they just annihilate teams like that. I mean, it's Philly. It's Philly. Honestly, it's Philly and Tampa are the teams right now, if I'm the Niners, who I'm looking at like, okay, we got to figure this out. That's it. It's Philly and Tampa. And Tampa even might be a good matchup for them because Tampa wants to establish the run. San Francisco doesn't let you establish the run. They can get after Brady. He doesn't move that well. Hurts, same thing. They really kind of eliminate the run. Their defense is so good. Can Philly, can Tampa, can teams like that establish it? Dallas. I mean, they're a bad matchup for everybody. They're a terrible matchup for everybody. So Frisco, they're doing what the prophecy foretold.
Healthy. Listen, you guys were bailing on them all year. They're finally healthy. Pro Bowlers in every unit. Now, 63% of Garoppolo's passing yards come after the catch. They don't throw the ball deep. They don't throw it up the sideline. It's death by 1,000 cuts.
That's not their offense. Their offense is they have a well-oiled machine offense. They know exactly what they're going to do. Why would you risk deep, long passes when you have players like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Christian McCaffrey? Get the ball to them or run the football, and you have Trent Williams. There's no reason to say, all right, Jimmy, drop back and let it rip 60 yards, 50 yards, 40 yards. Let's try and keep it all in and let our playmakers make plays. What do great coaches do? Great coaches know how to get their best players involved. Kyle Shanahan's a master at getting his best players involved.
So there's a way they win, but they're 4-0 against their division. Each win by 15-plus points. They have, in my opinion, separated, much like the Chiefs, from their division.
Oh yeah.
Number 1.
Oh, from the division's over. Seattle's their competition. I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? They are 100% right with that. The Chiefs, the Niners have both won their division. The division is over.
Kansas City, no arguing it. We talked about it earlier this week. They're not only the best team that can overcome mistakes, play with a...
They're very similar to the Golden State Warriors in basketball, where even when they're not at their best, they're 8-2, right? Like the Chiefs have not, like they've really kind of battled. They've had some overtime games. They've had some come from behind wins, like they did against the Chargers. They won with 25 seconds left. You know, like the first game, the first time they played the Chargers, they shouldn't have won. They didn't play well at all. They've had injuries. Juju's but was knocked out. You know, MVS wasn't playing. Kadarius Toney. You know, they've had issues in the backfield. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire was hurt. But somehow they're 8-2, right? Like somehow you blink, it's like, oh shit, oh my god, the Chiefs are 8-2. Oh my god, Patrick Mahomes is having the best year of his career. Tyreek Hill's gone. Yeah, the Chiefs aren't playing that great. Oh, what's their record? 8-2. They won the division in November. You know, like they're just that team, just like the Warriors last year. The Warriors start off kind of stumbling. The Warriors kind of mediocre. You look around, oh wow, they got the 3 seed. Oh my god, they won the finals. Like that's Kansas City. Until they prove it, until they prove that their time is over, you can go ahead and pencil them in the AFC Championship game every single year.
Lead, play on the road, play from behind, but they're a really smart team. You know, they're figure
winners.
Problems out. I always think, what does a team do?
There's something to winners. There's something to a winning culture and a winning mentality. It's when you know, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the deficit is, no matter what the obstacles are, you know how to conquer those things. The Patriots did it forever, where you just knew. You just knew if the Patriots were down 10 in the fourth quarter, you knew that they knew what they had to do to get the victory. Kansas City's like that. They know at all moments of the game what has to be done to win.
Do on third down? What does a team do in the red zone? Andy Reid piles a lot on this team offensively, and Mahomes is just intellectually twitchy and nimble enough. New player, new scheme, new plays on the road, trailing, leading. They're a true champion. If you beat,
they are a true dynasty kind of team. They're not, again, they're not the Patriots, but they're cut in that same cloth where they're just going to be there. Next man up, who cares? Go get Juju, go get somebody else, boom, they're 8-2. If the front office actually went and got somebody, like if they actually went and got a Devontae Adams or somebody like in the offseason, someone who moves teams, and they go make that move, I think that's the year you'll see this team push for undefeated. If they actually go and get somebody who's, a disgruntled, like DeAndre Hopkins. Let's say they're, DeAndre Hopkins wants out of Arizona, Kansas City does something, and he goes there. If they do that, I'm interested to see, because just like when Randy Moss went to New England, they finally gave Tom Brady the Lamborghini and they almost go undefeated. I think that the Chiefs will be one of those teams that just always are penciled in for, 15 wins, 14 wins, and then they're going to have that 1 year where they take a jump, they take a leap, and they try and go undefeated.
Beat them, you have to knock them out. Because if it goes to later rounds and you don't finish them off, they'll finish you off if there's only 13 seconds on the clock. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, you got to be up. You got to be big up against Kansas City. You better be up 17 going into the fourth. If you're not, then you're probably cooked. But that's it. That's the video. Let me know in the comments below what your top 10 are, where I got it wrong, where Colin got it wrong. And also, this is 2 days before Thanksgiving, so have a good Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. And thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.